The liquidity model would become quite beneficial in this context. However, it does make me think of JP Morgan using Chainlink and Odo to conduct the tokenized trust release test. Fascinating, huh? Coinbase gave a shout out to $20 million, and I continue to think that Chainlink is the sleeper of this bull cycle, and that Onia will be the sleeper of the 2029 bull cycle. You must listen to this bounty. This is completely insane. What's happening? Coinbase is essentially being targeted by individuals who have tapped within employees who are disclosing information. Pay attention. Hello everyone, I would like to draw your attention to a troubling email that Coinbase recently received. It was a ransom message asking for $20 million, 0 cents in Bitcoin, in return for the attackers not disclosing some data they said they had about our clients. Publicly respond to these attackers by saying no, since we like to do things openly at Coinbase. Your ransom will not be paid by us. Actually, at the end of this video, I'll discuss a few future actions that I have in mind. For those of you who are watching and wondering what occurred, we conducted an investigation and found that these attackers have been contacting our customer service representatives abroad in an attempt to find a weak point, someone who would take a bribe in return for providing them with some customer information. Our support tools now have restricted access to client data. Customer service representatives do have access to cash, secret keys and passwords, but none of these were included in this. You've probably heard the majority of it previously. We don't have to perform it. However, I wanted to provide a few brief clips of what's happening for those who didn't want to. Of course, people, it's crazy. It's really insane. What's happening? You are unable to make out. I don't use Coinbase, but if I didn't utilize Coinbase, I'm sure this would have an impact on me. I was expelled for life. I have no idea why. That is the crucial question. However, nobody seemed to know wants to respond to me. Today we are there. Ripple, Weir, and Merck Corp launched the XRP Ledger pilot yesterday, enabling Colombian farmers to obtain loans through blockchain-provided agricultural traceability. That alone says a lot. What is this? Everyone is asking me that. I think I got around 30 direct messages asking, what the hell does this mean? I understand. What will this accomplish then? This will use blockchain technology, which is really fascinating, to empower farmers. There are a lot of smallholder farmers in Colombia who work informally, isn't that correct? They don't have transaction records or credit history. Therefore, the lack of these financial records makes it more coffee hasn't arrived yet. The program could become a model for agricultural communities around the world. Quite fascinating. However, because of time constraints, let's skip ahead and discuss the price on the charts. In the upcoming video, let's discuss the lawsuit and the current situation. So, SEC versus Ripple. Do we need to worry? Let's begin there. No, nothing is different here. There is absolutely no change. The SEC and Ripple essentially filed a joint motion urging Judge Torres to issue an indicative finding when a case is on appeal and both parties desire the trial judge to indicate how she would rule on a particular issue. If the case were returned to her, this is usually done. In other words, if we send this case back to you, you want to give us a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and just let us know how you would rule on it so we know if we send it back to you. That's pretty much what Ripple in the SEC is saying. Judge Torres stated that the court would reject the party's request as procedurally incorrect if jurisdictions were returned to this court and the case was remanded to Judge Torres from the appeal. What does that signify? For starters, Torres lacks jurisdiction. B, because the motion was improperly filed, she would reject it if she had jurisdiction and the case was returned. Judge Torres is merely stating that the manner in which the request was made does not adhere to the correct legal process. She is not rendering a decision on the content of the request. This is really a minor hiccup that will eventually get this matter concluded and approved. It will not significantly alter the course of the case. The matter is still in the appellate court's hands, and if Ripple and the SEC want the district court to take another look, they might need to attempt a different strategy. That's all. Nothing significant. Little speed bump. The litigation will be concluded and formally approved. In other words, both parties have now reached a consensus on the same matter, so people don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I will leave it at that. I'll see you all in the upcoming video. Hey, be sure to follow and like so you can join the Ripple Van Winkle fan club. She receives a cool, smooth YouTube TA every week for $499, 0 cents a month with no ads.